Arrival! 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 Wrestling fans, I am longtime independent wrestling fan Robert. Arrival Wrestling, formerly known as Violence and Suffering, Arrival 3 was a very good show from the Williams Center in Rutherford, New Jersey. I have to say that it seemed like a very small part of the building they used. And, it was like a short walk from the 190 NJ Transit bus. Okay. When I arrived, the gentleman working the table, he actually wrote when I showed him the link where I purchased my ticket online, he wrote Ryan Lottie for some reason. I come in and I got a seat as quickly as possible because I didn't want to watch the show on my feet for 3 hours, especially after having to work an 8-hour shift at my job. But we have a pre-show match which gets underway as we see the best in the world, Steven Azure, versus the Son of the Sun, Leo Sparrow, versus Prince of Pyro, Junie Underwood. Sparrow and Azure were both trained at Brian Myers' Creative Pro Wrestling. Myers actually was part of the meet and greet before the show. I don't know if he came back out intermission or not. These three had a good matchup for this pre-show matchup, which saw Leo Sparrow defeat Steven Azure and Junie Underwood at 7 minutes 15 seconds. There was a bit of a draft in the building because, it was cold and it was raining. I'm guessing it was, the doors kept opening, even into the room where the show was taking place. I noticed Sam Laterna, who ring announced the show, when she'd leave the ring for a match to take place, she would, sit down right near me and she'd put her jacket on. All right. But we have the main show to get things underway, and what was announced by Sam Laterna as an impromptu Arrival Championship qualifier, as we saw Dante Leone take on Myron Reed. Pretty good match these guys had to start the main show. Eventually, Myron hits a cutter, followed by Emerald Fusion. No. Is it Emerald Fusion? No, the Air Raid Crash, which I remember Nova from ECW using. He called it the Kryptonite Crunch. Myron Reed defeats Dante Leone in 13 minutes, 17 seconds. Up next, we have a four-way matchup, which saw Alec Price take on Gabriel Sky versus Braden Toon versus Jay Bougie. Gabriel Sky enters the ring to the song How Soon Is Now. I think that's the 80s version of the song he comes out to, not the Love Spit Love version in the 90s, which I know was used as the theme from the TV show Charmed. Alyssa Milano. Even though her acting days are over, and she's married to some lucky bastard, and she's an activist, and she's got kids to take care of now. She has the same birthday as me. She's like 4 years older than I am. But yeah, the four-way matchup. Alec Price versus Gabriel Scott versus Braden Toon versus Jay Bougie. One of the matches that really stole the show in this one. Braden Toon defeats Alec Price, Gabriel Sky, and Jay Bougie when he pins Sky with like a modified double underhook powerbomb at 8 minutes 28 seconds. Up next, we had ourselves a professional wrestling debut. The debut of Justin Finn as he took on the bad boy, Joey Janela. Justin Finn, of course, has been training at Creative Pro Wrestling, and I don't think he debuted for them yet. But a lot of his friends were probably in attendance because they were chanting, Justin fucking Finn. And every time the crowd, they stopped with the chanting, I kept saying, okay, enough with the cream fest. Janela gave Finn so many chops to the point where Finn's poor chest looked like raw beaten meat or something. Eventually, Janela brought, I don't know if it was a board or a door brought into the ring, and he put it in the corner. Finn eventually speared Janela through that door. Eventually, Janela defeats Justin Finn with a super kick of all things at 16 minutes 22 seconds. After all the chops and Janela getting speared through the door and all that other stuff those guys were doing to each other. After the match, Janela got the microphone and he said that Arrival Wrestling owner Isaac was a little iffy about having the match because Finn had not wrestled anywhere yet. And Janela talked about where he got severely burned in a match. I don't know if that was in CZW. And Finn took it upon himself to drive Janela instead of waiting for an ambulance to get him help. And you could see as Janela spoke, Finn was sitting in the corner and very emotional about finally debuting and all. But damn, his poor chest. I know the late Gorilla Monsoon, if he was still alive and commentating and saw what happened, he would say, "Boy, am I glad I retired." In my case, when I see stuff like that, I think, am I glad I stayed in the crowd? Next up, we see Jackson Drake, as he challenged Moose for the TNA Wrestling X Division Championship. This stems back to Arrival 2 back in August when Drake was attacked by Moose, who made a surprise appearance back in Arrival 2. Funny thing is, as Moose was on the warpath, at one point I said he's killing Zac Efron, and I think people laughed in the crowd. Somebody else called him Zac Efron as well after me. Eventually, Moose hits a spear, and he defeats Jackson Drake at 13 minutes 34 seconds to retain the TNA Wrestling X Division Championship. And then up came the reason that got me to buy a ticket for Arrival 3. As we see Bobby Orlando, not sure if this was his Arrival debut or not, as he took on Santana Jackson. Again, picture the late Michael Jackson as a wrestler. That's what Santana Jackson is. Things were going all right, and eventually, I forgot what Santana did, but referee Stephen Domingue was about to make a 3 count, but all of a sudden, someone in a hoodie pulls Domingue out of the ring. The hoodie comes off, and it's Broski Jimmy Lloyd, still like in his Zack Ryder phase. He attacks Santana, and he asks for the microphone, and he said that Isaac, since the company rebranded, Isaac had not responded to texts, and I don't know if it was emails or phone calls. But then again, why is he there? And eventually, well, actually, I forgot to mention, prior to the matchup, this match getting underway, Sam and Turner are now reminding the crowd that JBL was banned from the building, and that so was Bobby Jr., Bobby Orlando's stuffed goat. Bobby Jr. was also banned from the building. I forgot earlier the moment Santana went underneath the ring and he came out wearing the wolf mask and the Thriller jacket, shall we say. But then out comes Bobby Jr., the stuffed goat, from underneath the ring wearing his own Thriller jacket. But Orlando attacks Santana from behind, and this is way before Jimmy Lloyd got involved. And what happened was Jimmy Lloyd, I forgot what he said, but then JBL's music starts playing, and someone in a big long coat and a cowboy hat comes out, but he attacks Lloyd. I think he attacked Orlando too. He takes the hat off. It is none other than Effie, who works for GCW and other indies out there. I forgot how it ended, but Santana Jackson defeats Bobby Orlando at 12 minutes 15 seconds. And then they had gone to intermission, and thank goodness they did, because I had to use the bathroom. And waiting in front of me in the line to use the bathroom was Josh Ramos, who I hadn't seen in ages. And also in that little room, I think right across from the bathroom, not a room, maybe I guess the lobby, there was vending machines right across from the bathroom, and I needed to have a drink. It was a can of Sprite I bought. It was only $1.25. If the price was $2, I wouldn't have bought it. All right, back to the action. We have a three-way matchup as we see Jay Lyon versus Cole Radrick versus Marcus Mathers. Mathers never disappoints in his matches. Jay Lyon, of course, from House of Glory. Cole Radrick's from, I think, GCW. These three meshed very good. Marcus Mathers defeats Jay Lyon and Cole Radrick with pinning Lyon with a 450 splash at 9 minutes 1 second. Up next, we have women's action as we have WWE ID prospect Zeta Steele, who had some gentleman rapping her to the ring. Not sure what he was saying. As she took on current TNA Women's Champion Russian Dynamite Masha Slamovich. Well, these ladies took it to each other, and unless I'm mistaken, Zeta Steele was the very first WWE ID prospect. Masha picked up the win with what seemed like a package pile driver at 10 minutes 52 seconds. Next up, I actually thought this match here was going to end the show, as we saw Drew Parker take on the notorious 187 Homicide. They went to the outside a few times in this one. Homicide defeats Drew Parker with the Cop Killer at 14 minutes 6 seconds. And then what, I guess they decided to make this the main event because it went on last, as we saw former NXT competitor, current TNA competitor, one half of the Rascals, unless they're not teaming anymore, Zachary Wentz, as he took on Michael Oku. That's spelled O-K-U. No, yeah, O-K-U, that's the way it's spelled. And Oku put Wentz in like a Boston Crab, and I think he put more pressure or more of a torque on the move, and Wentz submitted. Michael Oku defeats Zachary Wentz at 12 minutes 57 seconds to end a great night of wrestling, and the show ended just past 11 o'clock. Personal notes, great having Anthony Russo and his son Robert sitting in front of me. Anthony had come to me and mentioned about the recent passing of Joe Carson, who was a massive fan of Creative Pro Wrestling. Anthony and his son, they were frequent Creative Pro fans as well. I will say, as far as Joe Carson, even though he and I were not on speaking terms at the time of his passing, I wonder if they're going to do like a 10-bell salute for him next time they run a show. Creative Pro, that is. Let me see. Oh, good seeing Ariana, Chrissy, Stella, who was there with her kids. To my surprise, Ariana and Chrissy left. I don't know which match it was, but some point after intermission, they ended up leaving, as did Stella and her kids. I don't know if they just thought they were. Maybe they had. I don't know. Maybe they wanted to go home. Maybe they were tired. Maybe they didn't want to wait long to get home. I don't know if they all took a bus, because this building, the Williams Center, is not only near the 190 NJ Transit bus, but also Rutherford train station is nearby too. So there's two ways for people to get to this building. We had some luminaries in attendance from the independent wrestling world. Tommy Invincible, a Perfect Ratio, Adonis Stone. More on him in a little bit. Ruthless Lala, female wrestler. Mateo from Pro Wrestling Magic. I'm sure there were others. Oh, during the Justin Finn Joey Janela match, there was a guy with an air horn. That beep 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 beep. Every time I hear an air horn like that, I can't help but think of departed wrestling fan Paul Rose, R-O-E-S. For those of you current independent wrestling fans who don't know who that was, Paul Rose, who passed away over a decade ago, he was the one fan known for yelling, "Give it to him!" or "Give it to her! You can do it! Yapper!" And whenever after meeting Paul, when I would would go to indie shows that he was not at, I would, do that, give it to him / her routine during a match. And, ever since he passed away, now I kind of do it to, like, honor his memory and all. Was a great man. He was about 70 something years old when he passed on back in 2012. Like I said, I think I mentioned that on a Facebook post one time. I said many of you independent wrestling fans are cool, but you'll never be as cool as Paul was. And to his credit, he did not do internet. He relied on word of mouth and flyers for the shows to go to independent wrestling. All right, I think I digressed about that enough. Okay, let's see anything. All right, well, here's the memorable quote. "You're a mark, bro." Referee Nick Shin to Perfect Ratio Adonis Stone, who was wearing his newly won Loud East Wrestling Lionheart Championship. All right. Let's see. No return date was announced, but I'm sure Arrival 4 will be some point in 2025. And Isaac, I know you're in charge of the show, but hopefully, whether it be Arrival 4 or some point in the new year, you could have a show. Please do a show on a Saturday night, or if you wait till after the Super Bowl goes in the books, run on a Sunday afternoon. I know somebody would like to go to a Sunday afternoon or even a Saturday afternoon show. All right. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Well, I would like to see for Arrival 4, maybe a tag team match with Santana Jackson and Effie taking on Bobby Orlando and Broski Jimmy. Also, in attendance for this show was AEW stars Will Ospreay and Powerhouse Hobbs, who were in town knowing it's Full Gear weekend. It's happening in Newark, New Jersey. Like I said, the show ended after 11 o'clock, and it was a good thing it did because, as soon as I was able to get out of the building, I went straight to wait for the bus, and I don't know if the bus was a little behind schedule, but I managed to get back to New York City by midnight. And it was like after 1 a.m. I got home. And and again, as I said, Arrival Wrestling, I hope you can run on a Saturday night, a Saturday afternoon, or a Sunday afternoon show. Because Friday night shows are very difficult for me to make. Knowing I have to work and come right from work for these shows. And also, and also the problem is, I can't bring my megaphone with me if I go right from work to a show. All right. We'll say, Arrival Wrestling was great. I don't know if you'll use that building again, the Williams Center in Rutherford. And maybe find some other places to run. I mean, nice to go back to the Mecca again, because that's easy to get to in terms of a bus from New York City. Which was like other places you can do a show at, but I don't know what other buildings are like open to having wrestling right now. Who else can I think of I saw at this event? I know it's just so difficult to do this, the morning after. I mean, normally I would do a video like this when I got home, but I was just so tired and out of it, especially from having to work. But Arrival Wrestling, can't wait for what you got in store for 2025, and hopefully things will keep rising to the top. Arrival, Arrival, Arrival. Arrival Wrestling has arrived.